Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Normally I'm really excited about the subject matter that I am bringing you, but I have to be honest. My heart is honored to have my next guest, but I am troubled and torn about how it is that she comes to us. To be very she's gone through a harrowing situation of pain, and really, always my goal is to find the God in the journey. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to her journey, and we will continue to pray that God enlightens us on his purposes in this journey. Welcome, Nicole. How are you doing this evening?
I'm okay. Thank you.
I'm glad you're okay. But let me just say right off, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you because look at your smile. Look at your sweet nature. You know, this something big happened to you in your life, and you have not lost your style or your smile. I've noticed. I I have noticed, and I think that is a miracle within itself. And so, just to start off, can you give us a brief understanding of what actually happened um, to you?
Yeah, just like a short way of putting it, I was in a relationship almost for a year. Into the relationship, I found out that my boyfriend was cheating on me, and I kind of, he told me that it was a mistake, and I just was forgiving about it. But after I found out about the girl, she like never went away. Like she kept popping back up into the picture. She would come to my home harassing me, and she knew my address because me and him got into it one night. The actual first night that I found out he was cheating on me, I had kicked him out, and he texted the girl his location, and that's how she knew my address from the get go. And ever since then, like I forgave him, and then maybe like a month or two went by, she popped back up at my house again when me and him was there, and uh, that went on for about about 4 months. Just to pop, like she came to my house, and it would end in altercations. The police would have to be called, and I just around the time of the shooting, me and him was drifting apart. So I guess when he really started to really see her and stay with her, and that night of Halloween 2020, she had went through his phone and she saw a message that me and him was talking about getting back together, and we were back seeing each other, and she got really upset. She called my phone and was arguing with me over the phone and threatening me over the phone. And then later on that night, about an hour go by, I heard his car pull up, and I'm thinking it's him outside. And I go outside to confront him because I wasn't trying to argue with him inside the building and interrupt my neighbors. It was very late at night, and to my surprise, when I went outside, it wasn't him. It was the girl. She pulled out the gun and she shot me 17 times.
Wow, wow. So I'm almost, I don't know, at a loss for words because that's a big story, but we got to unpack it a little bit. We're going to get some pause points in there. First, you had a man that was cheating on you. He was bouncing back and forth with you and another girl.
Pretty
How
much.
long had you been together prior to you discovering that he was cheating?
So it was about 10 months when I found out.
Okay.
Mm.
Hmm. And how long had he been with the other woman?
He said it just had happened that one time because he met her at his new job he had started. So couldn't have been no more than he met her like in September. I found out that they had intercourse in January of the next year.
Mm,
So yeah. And he told
okay.
me it had just happened. Like, I'll never know the real truth, but I asked her one time because she was just so obsessed and possessive really quick. I'm just like, how long have y'all really been messing around? And she did. She said, oh, since December, this and that. So, that part of it was true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So, why do you think she got so, I don't know, invested in hurting you?
That I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like I said, we did have altercations. I'm not gonna sit up and say, me and her didn't put hands on each other because we did. The
So you
time
and her
she,
fought before.
me and her fault. We had fault.
Okay.
She came to my home and she was beating on my windows and provoking me and him to come outside. When we came outside, she swung on me. So that's like the first time like we had fought. And then another time she had broke into my house. She came
Mm-hmm.
inside. She knocked over my mom's vases and she was acting crazy. We fought that
She
day
broke
too.
into your house?
Yeah. I the door was unlocked. It was my mistake. I was the last person in. But that still don't give you no right to come into my apartment. So,
Mm-hmm.
when she came inside, she was telling her, come on with me, this and that, and he wasn't trying to go and she started knocking over my mama's vases and stuff, and me and her started to fight then, and the police was she was arrested that day.
Okay. So she
Hmm.
had been arrested once for being at your house, um, creating I don't know, a violent altercation with you.
Right.
Okay. But she continued to see this young man, and so did you. Is that right?
Right. Hmm.
Um, and you continued to have sexual relations with him, and so did she, correct?
Right. Hmm.
And at that point, when she was coming to your house, how long had you guys been together at that point?
Oh, by the time she started coming to the house, me and her was about a year and months in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about a
Mm-hmm.
year.
Okay. And can you tell me, how are you feeling and what are you thinking at this point?
About the situation.
No, about well, the situation, about your, this man. I'm going to call him. What do you want me to call him? We don't have to have his real name. Whatever name you give me, that's what we're going to say. If you want to give me his name, that's fine. I just don't want you to experience any pressure.
It don't matter. Brian.
Brian. Okay. So what is your feelings about Brian at this point? Are you feeling like this is the man for me? Are you feeling like this is the best sex I ever
Right
had?
now or
No, no,
then?
no. Then I'm trying to figure out when this woman comes to your house and basically begins to stalk you, okay? Um, are you feeling like he's mine and I don't want you to have him? Are you feeling like I love him? I want to have children with him. I want to marry him. Are you feeling like this is the best sex I ever had? I am trying to figure out what is propelling you to stay with somebody that is devaluing you in this
Yeah.
way.
At that moment, I would say like I was really just in love with him. He was the first man. I experienced other relationships, but like with me and him, it just seemed like we just clicked and matched so well. And he did just everything that my ex didn't do. Like he was very affectionate and he was the first man to tell me he loved me. And
Oh.
I mean, he was the first man I was gonna have a baby with. I suffered a miscarriage with him.
Mm.
Um, so I mean, that was before she came about. Like that was right before she came about. And
Mhm.
I just it's kind of like you said. I did feel like I felt like so for one, she knew about me. He would go to
Mhm.
work talking about me. In the beginning, he would take the phone calls from her in front of me, but then
Mhm.
as time progressed, he started taking phone calls outside of the house. So and for a minute, for most of it, I did feel like, he's mine. You're just not gonna take my man. I did feel like, you know, you're just not gonna take him from me. Don't think you could just take my man from me. And it did become a sick competition. But
Okay. Okay.
now that I look back on it, I feel so like even talking about it right now, it makes me cringe because it's like, what were we fighting over? What were we fighting over?
Right. Right. Um, I want to tease something else out, but I also want to say I don't want you to feel any shame about this. We all have to grow. And I'm going to readily admit that I have gotten into he's mine kind of situations all on my own. You know, I thank God that I did not end up, shot, but I've certainly had my share of those incidents. It's almost like it's a natural instinct, particularly when you are younger. That first love, that first heart connection, there is no way in the world you feel like you were supposed to give that up. So please, no shame, no shame. But I'm thankful to know that you've learned from that, and you won't put yourself in that situation any longer. That's what I'm thankful for. Um, Now, I want to go back to something. When he was, when you guys were initially together, what were your living arrangements like?
I stay with my mom. So it's just
Okay.
me and my mom. I'm her only child. It's just me and my mom. When I first started dating him, he had gotten out of a relationship where he was living with a woman. He had just moved back to his mom's house. So he was living with his mom as well.
So he was living with his mom, and you were living with your mom. At any point, did you two live together?
No, he didn't. I mean, you can say that. He was here all the time. Like he had clothes here, on the weekends he would really just stay here. But then, if he was off through the week and I was out, he stayed through here through the week too. So yeah, in the
Hmm.
beginning it was kind of like a living situation type of thing. Like, he did stay with me and my mom for a little, he was over here a lot.
Okay. Now, was he working and were you working
Yeah.
initially?
hmm
Okay. All
He
right.
didn't really, he temp jobs, he'd be employed for 2-3 months and then 2-3 months he'd be unemployed. And
Mm.
he didn't really keep a job while we were together. No.
Hmm. I'm just curious, has he ever apologized?
When it first happened, he was so apologetic. Then as time progressed, like the narrative changed. It was like, well, he wasn't fighting her. Maybe she didn't do this. Maybe she wouldn't have done this. Or, like when I was saying, I was like, this is really your fault. Like I would have never known this girl. He never liked when I said, this is your fault. He never liked
Hmm.
that. And it's just like he always want to point the finger, but well, you did fight her. Or
Mm.
that was between y'all. I told y'all it became above me. It was above me at that point. I'm just like, how is it above you when you're like the glue that pieces together? Like, I don't understand that. But in the beginning he was. I think because he thought maybe I was gonna die or well, I was dead or something. But as time progressed, no, he didn't even seem remorseful for it or anything.
Hmm. So tell me this, when you were healing from your injuries, and I just want to take a moment, I want to share these injuries. Is that okay?
Mhm.
All right. This might be a little graphic for everybody, so I'm just warning you right away. Okay. This is just your stomach area.
Yeah, it was just my
This is
stomach. Yeah.
You were shot 17 times. So there are other
hmm
places on your body that look like this.
hmm
Hmm. And do you still have bullets inside your body?
Yeah, I have a lot of fragments. Yeah. hmm
Hmm. Are you expected to experience additional health risk because of, what has happened to you?
Right now it's just trying to get my bladder healed totally so I can get it reconstructed. Because right now I have a super pubic catheter. I don't pee normally right now. So yeah, that's like the last surgery that I have to have.
Wow.
Mhm.
Now, is she in jail? What's going on with her?
Yeah, she's in custody. She's in jail. She has another bond hearing coming up next month. She's had two or I want to say three back in the past, but they've been all denied. So, but she has another
Mhm.
one coming up next month. So, and she'll
Mhm.
be pleading guilty or not guilty next month too.
I got it. So, for those of you who are just joining us, what we have here is Nicole Jones. She was shot 17 times, 17 times by her ex-boyfriend's lover. And really, I don't even know if that's the right description. I want to call it a love triangle because he was, playing one side against the middle. You know, it was it was quite harrowing, and he at this point has taken responsibility, very little responsibility for the situation. Is that correct?
Correct. Hmm.
I'm curious, did he, you know, come over and visit you when you first got out of the hospital? Did he take on any ownership of caring for you?
He did. Like when I was in the rehab and hospital, that's all we talked about. Like when I come home, we were gonna work things out and he was gonna help me. When I first got home, he did come visit. He was trying to have intercourse with me, and I'm just like, I can't have intercourse right now. So, I think that would make him ultimately really stay away because it's like I really couldn't do I think he thought I was coming home like, oh, Nicole, like I was gonna be okay, like to do everything I used to do to him. And it's like,
Wow.
no, I'm like, he didn't really, he stopped coming around. Like, I remember asking him, can he just give me some food one night? He's like, can you get something delivered? I'm like, I can't walk right now. I can't walk up the steps to let the delivery person in. He's like, oh, I'm like 40 minutes away, and nope, went to bed hungry that night pretty much. And that's when I was just like, you serve me no purpose. Like, I think I asked him one time to like take me to therapy. He couldn't
Mm-hmm.
take me to therapy. Like it just was he had every excuse. So, I really felt so abandoned by him and it broke my heart. It wasn't even after getting shot. People was like, oh, you really thought to talk to him again after getting shot? Yeah, I did. And it wasn't even the shooting that took me for me to walk away. It was just him abandoning me like that. It was just like, you really broke my heart. And I couldn't.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
but it's like I needed that pain. I really did because it allowed me to know that before this happened, I'm not gonna lie, I made that man my world. I grew up in
Mm.
church, and I know that you don't supposed to put no other God before God. And I did. I made him my world, so I feel like God needed to put me in a place to be totally alone and just know I can depend on Him. I don't need anybody else, and it was then where I found the strength to really just cut all ties off with him and walk
Are you
away.
are you able to have children now?
Yeah, they said that I would probably have to go see the
Amen.
yeah, they said I probably have to go still see like a specialist and stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I still get my period and stuff like that. So everything down there is
That's
still good.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Thank
I want
God, yeah.
I want to put this up here for you. And I really thank you for sharing your story. Although you're not a teenager, really, I want you to know that domestic violence is very high in teenagers all the way up into your early 30s. And so we have a researcher who's looking up this information for you and for our audience so that they know it's not just you, and communicating this way is not what I'm going to call normal. I want to bring up Katha Blackwell, and she is an expert in this matter. And I'm also going to go ahead and bring up Sandra Golden. She actually recently wrote a book and experienced teen or young adult violence. And first I'm going to go to Sandra. Sandra, do you have any words of wisdom for Nicole? You're on mute. Ladies, take yourselves off mute.
I truly am like Erica said, Coach Erica said that I'm so proud of you in your ability to leave the relationship that is difficult. For me, it took multiple going back over and over again, and it was for me lack of self-esteem, um, but also because I thought I could fix somebody. And for you,
Mm.
it was because you felt like this person was your world until you realized who your world was, which was Jesus Christ. And I'm so happy that you are alive. God has kept you alive for a purpose, for you to be able to tell other people your story in an attempt to prevent them from going through what women like you and I have gone through. So just keep the faith, uh, know whose you are, and I think you're going to be great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Katha, what do you have to share?
When it comes to domestic violence, every woman, every person who's in an abusive relationship has a level of tolerance as it relates to abuse, as it relates to disrespect. And it sounds like your level of tolerance crossed the line when it came to abandonment. The moment he abandoned you after you had gotten shot and everything, and he wasn't supportive of you, was the moment where, like, okay, this is a deal breaker for me because he's not being supportive. Whereas throughout the relationship, there were all these red flags along the way that this relationship isn't healthy, and it's common amongst survivors of domestic violence where you'll see that there's been several red flags along the way in the relationship already. So your story is not it's not there was nothing wrong with you. It's just a common thing where people have a level of tolerance. Some people will end a relationship after adultery. Some people will end a relationship after lying, cheating, or anything of that sort. Everybody has their level of tolerance, and so it's very important for people to know what is your level of tolerance as it relates to your relationship. I've met women they'll deal with all kinds of abuse until something happens to their children, or they'll deal with, any kind of all kinds of abuse taking place with their children until he pulls a gun out on them. So it's all about what is your level of tolerance as it relates to relationships, and just being mindful of that, because we all have our level of what will we tolerate. We all have that level. So when you were talking, it just made me think about how intense those levels of tolerance are as it relates to whether or not we stay or go in a relationship.
I wanted to just be very transparent, and someone might be asking themselves, well, where were the parents? Where, you lived with your mom, he lived with his mom, and I'm assuming that she is not much older than you guys. So her mom, might have been somewhere close by. And I'm saying moms like dads don't matter, but trust me, dads do matter. So he's like, well, where were they? So can you just shine a little light on what you were experiencing in your home from your parents?
Um, my mom really liked him. In the beginning, he just came off as a really good person. So, and I was really happy. So my mom, she was our biggest cheerleader. Like, she really wanted us to get stuff together, like get it together. She really did like him. But my mom, I love her to death, don't get me wrong, but the example I seen growing up with her love life, she was with a man for 15 years that, his job was living off of women, and I just saw my
Mm,
mom just always doing for him, and he never did for her. And I always vowed to myself that I would never be like that. And it was crazy. Like my mama was just saying, she was just like, I'm seeing so much of my situation in yours. And and she was just like, I don't want you to be like me. And I'm like, I don't want to be like you. I'm like, I don't want to be like that either. But she really couldn't guide, she could tell me like not to like live from her mistakes, but she really couldn't really guide me on what to walk away and do stuff, because she stayed with someone for 15 years. And like as far as his mother, um he spent a lot of time in jail growing up. Like, he was really bad, so like she moved him around a lot. Like, he had to move with grandma here, grandma there.
mm,
So he moved around a lot, and then he stayed in juvie a lot too. And so him and his mom really wasn't close like that. Like, he really couldn't even stay there like that. That's really majority why he stayed with me and my mom a lot, because she didn't really like him being there all the time. And as far as the girl who shot me, mom, She, from my understanding, after I got shot, I like wanted to know more about her, you know. So I was asking him, and he told me like her mom had mental health issues. Her mom was never in her life, and she had died like I want to say maybe a year before she did all this. She had
Oh, wow.
died, so she was raised by her grandparents, and her grandparents had died also. Like I think it was like back to back. Her grandparents had died, her mom had died, like all in the same year. So
Mm. Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Now we have Cindy Stanford, president over at ACES Matter. Here she is. Actually, I'm going to bring her to the stage because you just described a deck full of aces. And I'm going to have her explain exactly what aces are. But before I bring her up, I want to reveal something to you personally, and everybody's going to get to listen. But the fact that your mom had a hard time in her relationship did affect you. And I lived something very similar where my mom and her idea of what a good relationship was affected me. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you this quick snippet because I don't want to take over. I want people to focus on your story, but I want you to know you're not alone. When I was young, um, I had a boyfriend over. He was so bold and had become so comfortable that he called his new boo on our phone. Well, yes, my mom picked up the phone um, and advised me once I got home. He was so comfortable. He was there when I wasn't there. And advised me and had already called his mother. His mother and my mother had already determined what was going to happen, and the direction was from the mom and from his mom and my mom is that I was going to punch him. They advised me to give him an old one too. And that's just what I'm going to call some what they knew as street justice, what was right, but what that ushered into our relationship was um, teen violence,
Mm-hmm.
abuse. It
Mm-hmm.
ushered that into our relationship, and just sometimes adults don't know what they're just not the best people. The parents you have don't know everything, and I just wanted to say that to you so you knew that it just wasn't you. And I hope that helps somebody. Our parents aren't perfect, but they just love us anyway. And so we just have to love on them. But needless to say, I have Miss Cindy Stanford here for you with ACES Matter.
Hi, Nicole. Hi, honey.
Hello.
I'm watching her beautiful face, and she reminds me so much of I have a 20-year-old daughter, and so my heart goes out to you because as I like watch you tell your story, I'm literally watching my daughter. Like this could have been one of our own, right? And so, through God's grace, you're allowed to be here to tell your story. So thank you. I wanted to share just thank you for sharing your story. And then as I hear you talk about like your experience as a child, the young man, Brian is what we're going to call him, his experience as a child, and even that young lady. I do this work called ACEs, and ACEs Matter is the name of the company, but ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. And basically what you just described is exactly what this study says is likely to happen if there is not mentally healthy intervention for these children before it gets to this toxic explosion. I cannot handle being abandoned, being cheated on, so I'm going to react. And so what the study tells us is that if we know that children are being exposed to things like this in their childhood, whether it's abandonment, neglect, abuse, children need help early on if you don't want to see those behaviors manifest in their adulthood. So kudos to you for being able to have the strength to be able to pull out, sooner than later, because obviously, when it is time for you to become a mother, you don't want to expose your own children to that type of lifestyle. So thank you so much for just having the courage to come forward. I can't speak for Katha or Sandra, but I'm going to assume, just based on what y'all share, we done all been through it, honey. Like, I'm gonna be transparent, like Coach Love was. I was in a relationship in my early 20s, and I thought he was it. Like, married him and everything, right? And sure enough, he had a baby on me, and I was devastated. When I tell you, I was throwing stuff. Like, I realized that I stayed in that unhealthy relationship because I watched my mama do it my entire life. You know, I mean, like, you know, it was just kind of a thing, right? So in this relationship, I became the one. I mean, I didn't shoot anybody, but I'm gonna tell you, it crossed my mind, because that's how hurt I was by both her and him. Like, you told me y'all weren't messing with each other, and I just married him. I wouldn't have married him if I'd have known you were doing this behind me. Y'all said y'all were just friends. And so I felt so betrayed, Nicole, so betrayed by both him. But my problem in that situation was, not only did I want to take my anger out on the girl, sadly, I had a young daughter who might have been around 5 or 6 that time when everything went down. She was witness to all of that hot mess. And I don't get a do-over. I cannot rewind, right? And so this is why I do that work, right? I didn't know, right? I didn't know that by her seeing so much arguing and, you know, violence back and forth, that it was going to change the architecture of her brain, because that's what ACEs tell you. Your brain's going to start thinking that all you should do is fight or run or hide. And so knowing what we know now, that is what the science is telling us, is that it basically changes the structure of a child's brain when they're around that. So everything that all three of you have gone through, I'm not going to say that it's normal, but it is like expected, right? Like, this is what they told us would happen if we don't intervene. So definitely, I heard you on the show with the ladies yesterday, where you talked about getting mental health therapy, you know, beyond just recovering physically, like being able to get your nervous system back where it is, so that you're not experiencing those triggers moving forward, is extremely important.
So, girls, I am interested in knowing what red flags specifically did you recognize in Nicole's story early on?
Well, one of the first red flags was the fact that he was cheating on her in their relationship. That's a red flag in itself. And he just kept this woman in, in this triangle relationship. He kept her in the picture. He never got rid of her. That was a red flag.
Another red flag for me was that he was bold enough to take the calls initially with you right there. Even though in the beginning he was saying, "Oh, we're just friends. We're just friends," but then it made it seem like, "Oh, I'm comfortable. She's not going to think anything because she's going to just believe whatever I say." But then eventually, the phone call started being secretive.
Right.
But that was a bold move to initially start, and that's a red flag. Them feeling so comfortable with the hold and the grip that they have on you, that control, that they're going to take those calls.
Mm-hmm. Cindy, what was your red flag that you saw?
The same thing Sandra saw, the same thing I experienced. Like, why she texting you this time of day? What you do? You know, it was just questioning.
Right.
You know, we're already on pins and needles as it is, and so that was definitely a red flag for me, or pink flag, whatever you want to call it. It was a sign from the universe.
Right.
You know what, in your story, and I'm not, listen, everyone knows that I have a heart for foster children. Okay. At the same time, when someone spends a lot of time in, she called it juvie, but it's juvenile, that tells me that they're not functioning in society well. They have difficulty with rules and boundaries.
Right.
They might have difficulty treating others well. Okay. To be very honest, that is my first, I'm not going to call red flag, but that is my first area of concern. you know. Also, you said he wasn't able to keep a job.
Yeah.
That kind of goes along with being in juvenile. You have a trouble with rules and boundaries. If someone can't keep a job, if someone can't follow rules, they may not be able to follow the social rules in a relationship, you know? So um, that is very concerning. And this doesn't mean the person is a bad person. It just means that they're not well managed. They don't have the maturity that it takes. What's on my mind right now, Nicole, is forgiveness. I've already had a comment about your demeanor, and they said that you were peaceful. I agree. But what I want to know is, have you forgiven the people involved in this situation?
No. I I used to have like a really bad like hate for her, anger for her when it first happened.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like sitting in the hospital just looking at her mugshot, just cursing her name, like just I was imagining I had a gun, I was just shooting her like how she shot me. Like I just had a hate for her, and I prayed that away. Like I, said to myself, God cannot bless me with a hatred heart and soul. So I had to let that go, like, but as far as like I forgive her, it's like I feel like that's gonna take me a little bit more time. And with
Mm-hmm.
him too, it's just a real, I don't really forgive him too much right now either, but I'm working on it. I'm working
Mm-hmm.
on it.
Have you forgiven yourself?
No.
Start
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah,
Start
that's
there.
the first
Yeah.
place.
Start
Mm-hmm.
there.
That's the first place.
So you said no, you haven't forgiven yourself. That makes me wonder, what does forgiving yourself look like? If you could imagine it, what does it look like for you to forgive yourself?
Like I live in denial a lot. Like I live in like, why did I stay in that relationship so long? Like, I hate that I even went outside that night. I just live in denial a lot. And it's like it's a me versus me type of thing. Like I be down on myself, like, and it makes me just sad and depressed. And I just like just sit there and just be thinking about that.
When you say you're sad and depressed, are you sad and depressed because you feel like it's your fault? Are you sad and depressed because you don't like the way your body looks? Are you sad and depressed because, you know, of the circumstance you're living right now? Is there, or is it just all put together? Does your mind go one way or the other?
I think it's all put together. Like, I worked hard to build my confidence up. I've been big all my life now. So now having my body, like, I look totally different. I have this line down my stomach. I still have like wounds, I still have like scars. And it's like, I don't walk like I used to. And it's just, I feel insecure. I feel so ugly at times. And, I would say that's like a big part of it.
Mm. So I had the opportunity to say this the other day, and I'm getting to say it again right now. Um, my mother recently had life-saving surgery, and my mother's skin is gorgeous. It looks like just smooth velvet. It's pretty, and people there, at church there have been people just come up and touch her face, talking about how smooth her skin is. And so the skin on her chest is just as smooth as well. Now the life saving surgery she had to have left a scar, and it goes from, sorry, I should start, it's hard to do it, backwards, but it goes from right here all the way down to here. And her skin keloid, so that it's bumps. Okay.
Mm.
that scar frustrates her and it makes her sad. When I see it and I run my hand across that scar, it's beautiful to me. It looks better than any makeup she could ever put on because God saved her. And that is the evidence that God saved her. Saved her. So it's beautiful to me. It is gorgeous to me.
Yeah, my mama says that.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So listen, I'm just saying people who are for you, people who love you, that is going to be beautiful to you. And that might just serve as a physical boundary. What I mean by that, it is very hard to tell who actually loves you for you and who doesn't. If you get into a relationship with somebody and they don't find that to be beautiful, it might be an indication they need to hit the door.
Mhm.
Hmm. What's that saying? Let the door not hit you with a good Lord split you.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's just that is just a thought. I do want to roll back to how you're feeling, and I want to unpack this a little bit more. Um, are you feeling shame at all?
Yeah, I do at times. Yeah,
Hmm.
I do.
Hmm. And what are you feeling shame about?
I would say like my condition, I walk with a walker and stuff like that, I feel
Hmm.
like when I go out, well, like when I'm around like the where I stay and stuff, people that know me, I feel like, oh, that's the girl who got shot, when I'm walking and stuff like that. Like if I walk into the nail shop or something like that, I just feel like all eyes are on me. I do feel shame in those moments. Yeah.
Hmm. I want to say a lot of power is in language. You are the girl who got shot. You're also the girl who got shot and survived.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Don't let them forget that part of the statement. I survived and now I'm thriving.
That's right.
You know, you are no longer waddling in the fog that got you to the point where you were arguing with a woman over a man. You're not waddling in that. You're very strong. This leads me to my next area of focus for you. Have you considered sharing your story purposely with young girls, young men, to be very honest?
Yeah, for a little bit, in the hospital, I had nurses telling me like, you need to be writing your story, like you need to be getting this out, like and telling people. And like you could ask my friends, like when it first happened, I didn't even want to talk about it. Like I didn't even like to talk about it. But now that I am talking about it, I found strength and healing talking about it. And just since the story have came out, so many women have came to me in my DM that's going through similar situations that I was in. And they like seeing like, oh, I don't want it to end up like that. What can I do differently, this and that? And I'm telling them like, take it seriously. Go get those restraining orders. If you can, you see he's cheating, you see he's hurting you, this girl, he's not doing nothing to stop it. Leave him alone. Like, I can give advice that I didn't get, or that I did get and I didn't listen to, so maybe it can prevent it happening to them. And guys have came in my DM too, like your story to be right by my woman and to keep her close to me, So I'm happy that, I'm knowing what my purpose is, and it's to help other people through what I've been through.
Your story really highlights how important it is for people to realize that when you're in a relationship, your actions matter.
Yeah.
Like what you do on the side, the different things that you do quietly or secretly, it matters. And so you can't just do whatever you want to do and think that it's not going to impact anybody. Because look, Brian may have thought that, oh, this is just nothing. She may be a side chick or whatever. When in actuality, look what happens. You could have lost your life over something that he didn't have to engage in. He didn't have to engage in that relationship altogether. And your story is so impactful. It should definitely impact men and women to see like this doesn't have to be your story. It doesn't have to be your story. Even with the red flags that you may have seen early on and different things of that sort, that highlights the fact that if you're in an unhealthy relationship, get out as soon as you can. Because if he's not able to respect you, value your worth, it takes a lot of courage to say, you know what, I'm just going to leave this relationship. Even if this is the first time I've ever heard somebody say they love me or show me affection in this way, we have to be bold enough to say, you know what, I'm more valuable than being treated like this, and this does not have to be my story.
Yeah.
So your story is really impactful. It's already opening eyes. The people that are DMing you, everything, that's impactful. That's powerful.
Absolutely.
Nicole, I would add too, as whenever you do get to a place where you want to date again, the most important thing that we could do as women and men too is investigate this person's biography. Okay. And I'm not saying that we got to just turn away from people because they, childhood might have been ratchet or whatever, or, out there. But it's really important to investigate. When I say their biography, I mean their childhood, because what we have learned from this work that I'm doing is that our biography, the things that we could write about, will become our biology. If that makes sense, right? In terms of what happens on the inside of our body to how we present ourselves on the outside. So it is extremely important, especially for young people, because I didn't have parents talking to me about, my worth and helping me build my self-esteem. And so I ended up finding my self-esteem by the attention I was getting from the opposite sex, right? And so because that might be missing in our childhood, we tend to ignore the pink flags or the red flags because now we're getting that attention that, we didn't even know we needed it when we were 5, 6, 7, 12, 13, 15, whatever, right? So it's really important to know where the person that's trying to date you is coming from. Ain't nothing sexier than having a man that is mentally healthy. They hard to find, but you gotta keep looking. They hard to find. And the second thing I would want, especially people that are young people and are dating, because we've all been there, right? Like it's a thing, right? You never know what will trigger that other person, like this young lady, right? Like we have no idea how crazy or how unstable that other person might be. And so the partner is putting you in danger or the other person in danger just by playing this Russian roulette, right? Yes. So that's enough in itself to walk away. And you know what, when you get your stuff together, Mr. Brian, because I don't know this girl, I don't know what she's capable of, and I'm not willing to put my life on the line while you try to figure out where you're going to sow your next wild oats, if that makes sense. So do it for 2 reasons. A, investigate how they feel about their mama, their sister, their dad, know all of that stuff going in, because that's going to tell you what type of person you're getting ready to date. And the devil is a liar. The devil is very, very deceptive. So that person can turn a switch and be whoever you want them to be in that moment. But you got to keep that in mind so that you're not deceived because you finally found somebody that makes you feel good. And the second thing, if they messing with somebody else, that other somebody else could be cray-cray. And you don't want to be in the middle of that if that person can't decide, if it's time for me to settle down or not.
And the thing I would like to say is, I know you're going through a lot right now because you're having trouble with forgiving yourself. You're having trouble with forgiving others. And you're having that shame and a lot of guilt feelings about what went on. Take the time to heal. Take the time to forgive yourself. I know for me, I was so angry till I was like you. I was angry because I wanted to hurt the person who hurt me. I wanted them to feel all the pain that they had inflicted on me. And mine was to the point where I was going on in my mind and I was becoming, I feel like, unstable, because it was like, if there was a way for me to find a hitman or hire somebody to find me a hitman so that I could take them out or inflict the pain that I was feeling. I mean, those are the type of things were going through my mind. And
Mhm.
my thing was, don't dwell on it. Find positivity in it. Because a friend asked me once, she said she didn't know I had been abused, but she was like, I don't know, you're angry all the time, it seems. And I don't know who you're angry at or what it's about. She says, but think about this, the person or the people who you're angry at, and you're thinking about it all the time, and it's constantly going through your mind, it consumes you every day. She says, do you think they're spending that same amount of time thinking about you?
Hmm.
And that was a wake up call for me. Like, so why am I spending all this time thinking about this person who has already hurt me and they've gone on to their next victim or to live their lives the way they want to live it? So take that time to heal, because what I had to learn was, I think I was more angrier at myself. I know I was, because of what you just said earlier. I stayed. Why did I stay? Why did I stay as long as I did? Why didn't I get out? Why didn't I pick up on certain things? And why did I let them pass? Take the time to heal, forgive yourself, forgive them, because more than likely, you'll never get the apology that you truly deserve. So you're going to have to forgive in spite of, and then learn your boundaries and establish those boundaries. What you're going to, what you will accept and what you want, and stick to them and make them known.
Yeah.
But first, take care of you, date you, fall in love with Nicole. And when you fall in love with Nicole and that exudes, God's going to bring you somebody, but at the right time, once you've healed and you've understood everything you've gone through. Because if you love Nicole with everything, then that's the type of love you're going to expect. And that's what's going to come to your way.
That's so beautiful. I love it. I love it. Nicole, you have shared with us your scars. I'm going to put them back up here because they're very serious. Um, I want to know, how can we pray for you and how can we support you?
Um, yeah, definitely. Just I take all the prayers. Um, I have a GoFundMe. It's I don't know if you could add the link in, but it's on
Can
my
you do me a
social
favor?
media.
Can you type it into the private chat, because I'd really love to get it out there. Um, I'm not sure. Oh, you have to. She has to go off camera to type. She's using her cell
Yeah, I'm
phone.
sorry.
That's okay. But that said, I'm wondering about the mounting healthcare expenses that you have to be incurring, being shot 17 times. That is massive. You still have shrapnel in your body. And so that is horrendous within itself. They just gave me your GoFundMe, so I got you covered. You can come back on. Thank you so
Okay, because I
much,
was having a hard
Cindy. Thank you. Thank you. Um, so go ahead and come back on camera. Um, do you have she is off. So what I'm going to go ahead and say is to please go to Nicole's GoFundMe and help her. Um, she is very, very young. She just turned 25. This is very difficult. Um, Nowhere along this line did you hear her mention her dad. Dads matter. Dads really, really matter. Not just because they're dads, but when you're in a two parent household versus a one parent household, it really balances out things. It makes things a little bit easier. Incurring this kind of expense as a very young person, having this heavy debt on you, as well as the emotional and physical pain that Nicole is in, is uh, just just overwhelming. I could not imagine truly being in Nicole's shoes. Welcome back, Nicole. We did get your GoFundMe link out there. Um, do you have a particular goal that you are trying to reach when it comes to your GoFundMe page?
It's at 4,000, but anything, I mean, anything someone can give will be helpful. I'm not able to work right now, so I still have like a car
Wow, yeah.
note and yeah, stuff like that. So anything that could just help me stay afloat with paying my bills, medical bills and stuff like that. Um,
So I'm just curious, approximately how much are your medical bills at this point? I mean, I'm sure they have to be enormous.
yeah, they are. I mean, honestly, I stopped looking at them. Like I was getting
Mm,
so many. I'm just like, I don't even want to stress myself out anymore. Like I can't even give you a number right now. Like I don't
it's
even know.
over.
Like yeah, it's yeah.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay, so your I'll put it, as a matter of fact, I'll put it in there twice. I really want people to go support you. Donate, 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 and then what's your social media handle?
Yeah, so I'm Nicole Jones on Facebook, and then I am Nick on Instagram. So it's Nick NIKKNICK_.
Okay, great. Because, there may be people that just have questions in general about this particular situation that, or you could be, helpful to them. And there may be somebody who wants to, bless you. So that would be wonderful if that would happen. I just thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being so transparent. My prayer for you is that God truly gets the glory. And when God gets the glory in this situation, all things, not some, all things will be healed, peaceful, and in place, because God is love and He doesn't make mistakes, and He will handle this. And so that is my honest and true prayer for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, my beautiful, beautiful audience. You are amazing. Thank you, girls, for hanging out. Um, Katha and Sandra and Cindy, I appreciate you all. You guys stay tuned. I promise you, we will keep bringing you wonderful stories where God gets the glory. Bye bye for now.